dreams collide. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. It has been a while. I support Spurs so religiously that even when I say I'm not going to be around for a week, I'm ruled out for several weeks. That is just how Spurs happens. Exactly what we do with injuries and all about that. So anyway, thank you very much for the people that have reached out, because there has been a few people that have reached out saying, what's going on? Where have you been? Are you okay? I am. There's been the highs of the midweek game, and then there's been the lows of the Chelsea game, all in between. But that's just life for a Spurs fan. To join me for the first episode back in, I think we've had one in 6 weeks. It's the same man that's always here, Mr. Dependable, Mr. Harry Kane himself, the one that won't leave the boyhood club. Chris, how are we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. I'm trying. I reckon after this, there might be a couple of scouts coming in for me. Manny sort of touched on it before we joined. He was like, "Oh, any chance of anything?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't really join no one else." So, don't know. There might be some scouts out there, Luke, on YouTube, thinking of, well, Luke ain't streaming as much anymore, so we'll try and pinch him.
Mate, there's a loan fee on all loans nowadays. I'm more than happy to loan out, but there's got to be a little match fee coming in. And joining me once again, the main man himself, Mr. Ange Postecoglou in. I'm joining. We joined the same club. We got the same abuse last year. Manny, how are we doing, my friend?
Thanks for having me, Luke, man. I'm good. Other than my wife booking something to do every single home game that we have all the way to mid-December, because I didn't give a 2,000-year advance warning of the games. I'm okay. So I had to sell my Chelsea ticket because of it. I'm not too upset about that one. Couldn't get a Copenhagen one, and I had to sell my United one. So, but no, all good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk Spurs as usual.
Thanks for coming on, mate. I must admit, right, I have never ever used a calendar in my whole entire life. And as soon as I started streaming, I was like, right, the calendar's being purchased. I'm writing it on the calendar. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to stream in 6 months' time. Is it okay? She said yes. I've wrote it on the calendar. Now, that's gospel. It's on the calendar. Yeah. You're not streaming again, are you? It's on the calendar. All right, no problem. We're out. That's it. Get Manny, get a calendar.
That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do.
It's already been brought up in the comments. So we're just going to have to start. I know this is backwards. We're supposed to start from way back when, but let's just start straight away. Mickey van der Ven, that goal. What a goal. Alan Morgan, honestly, guys, how many times have you watched Mickey's goal? I reckon that I have watched it from every single seat in that stadium, because everybody had a recording of it, and I've seen it from front, from back, from side, from left, from right. What, Chris? What a goal! What were your thoughts on the goal? Have you seen it?
The geezer's just a monster when he runs. He does it every now and again where he picks the ball up and he just starts bombing forward, and it's like, he's just so big, strong, and powerful, and no one can stop him. And then, I mean, the finish itself is a class. I mean, the run's amazing from your centre half to run all that way and just go. But then to steady, just to the composure and just the ability to actually bury it, it's amazing. And then for the last goal, when we counter-attacking, you got Romero bombing forward as well. And I thought, come on, surely not our two centre-halves are going to show our forwards how to finish here. And then, mate, bonkers. But what a goal. It's probably a better goal than Son's in the sense of he just gets it himself and he just goes himself. There's Son sort of picks it up and then goes. And also, Son's your attacker. You expect Son to be able to beat a man. Your centre half who's 6'4" and is like an absolute unit running through. I think he runs through 4 or 5 people. He should not be able to do that, but it just proves how good he is and how valuable he is to us at the minute.
Yeah, it reminded me really loads of the Man United game. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before when he just went and he just absolutely went. But Chris, I'm glad you brought it up, and I'll come to you on it as well, Manny. But the run was unbelievable, absolutely no doubt. But the finish, if that was just simply a finish, if someone had just passed him the ball and he's done that, everyone would be going, what a goal that is. But to do it after just running, I think that the stat came out, it was like 66 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Manny, what were your thoughts on it?
I literally, so I saw obviously Paulinho got the ball, put in the tackle. Van der Ven started running. I was thinking this guy's going to run all the way through because obviously, as you said, we have already seen it in the United game last season where he squared it to Johnson. But the funniest thing is, as he got near the opposition box, I was literally screaming at the TV. I was like, square it, because I can't remember who it was. Was it Odegaard on the other side? I think either Odegaard or Mwani or someone like. I was like, nah, this guy. If this guy does not square it, I'm gonna lose my mind. And then I saw the finish. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know whether you got in that clip of Kaka playing the Power League, and that guy, Kaka, square it. I'm thinking, who the hell do you think you're talking to? It's the same thing. I was thinking, what a finish by Van der Ven. I was like, mate, that was incredible.
I think you're right though. I think when you see the keeper doesn't really move, and I think he's obviously standing there thinking he's going to square it. I need to get ready to go. He's going to square it, and he just buries it, and it helps. Obviously, it's on his favoured left foot as well. So, yeah, the
timing was great as well, by the way, because we had just gone down to 10 men, so it was perfect timing to stabilize us a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. But we have seen a few decent finishes from Van der Ven, haven't we? And I remember I can't remember who it was against, but when he absolutely walloped it. Yeah. So it's like he's definitely capable of doing it, but it's not. I'm just astounded at how far he won and still had just the mental capacity to be able to kind of like calm himself down. And then whip it in. Like you can imagine what it's like. You get to the edge of that box and you're just thinking, because if he squared it, as you said, Manny, like he's done his job. And even if the shot's missed or whatever, you kind of go like, what a great run that is. Like he's done your job. Just give it easy. And he's just gone, nah, I'm okay. And in the commentary, the guy was like, it's just men against boys. But a lot of the time it is that for Van der Ven. Like I was saying on a podcast this week that when you're watching football, you only see when the ball's played over the top, you only see the back of a defender's head when they're running away or a striker's running away. But I can see physically in a striker's bit, like in the back of their head, them just lose all confidence. As soon as they see the balls dropping and they see Van der Ven, they go, well, this is just pointless. And it doesn't matter if it's the best in the world or everyone. They're just kind of like, well, he's just going to absolutely destroy us. It's pointless.
I think it's on the weekend as well. Sorry, man, to cut you up there. Against Chelsea, he gave the ball away. Obviously, he didn't give a ball. He sort of made a mistake, and Caicedo took it, and then they scored from it. And I think the home games this season haven't been the best. And I think you can really feel the players at home when you're in your home stadium, that should be where you're most comfortable. You should feel you're up for it. And I feel like we've not had that this season yet. Being at home has not been our strong point. So I think to respond to the weekend's game against Chelsea and then to go away and do that in your home stadium probably gives him a bit of a boost as well, and it gives him sort of that the fans just that bit of interaction that I don't think they've had recently. I mean, I think it was him and Spence got sort of slagged off, walking off before, like not clapping the fans, just heading down the tunnel, and he just said it all got a bit too much, and I wasn't happy with myself. My performance was terrible, so to respond in the next game and do that is probably a big boost for him, and just a nice thing to do, really.
Yeah, and I think that's underrated, Chris. Like the fact that it wasn't just a poor performance, and as you said, he did give the ball away. I laid some of that blame on Xavi. I think it was a poor ball to the old-fashioned hospital ball a little bit with that, but
a little bit. You're being nice.
Yeah, I'm being I'm trying to be generous. Xavi's the guy that I think can pull us out of holes. So I'm really trying to be nice with him. But as you said, not only was it a bad performance from everyone, not only did he not clap the fans, but also the criticism, and I would probably say rightly so, for ignoring Frank. To then come out and have a performance like that, score a goal like that, it's a good testament to the character, and that's exactly what you need in this sort of level. Like I know that people are going to say, and I'm sure we'll discuss it in a little while, about the level of the opposition, but you need to win games, and it's the Champions League at the end of the day. Like he's doing it in the top things, and again, I mentioned it on a podcast recently. There's so much made of who you do it against and everything else. That does not matter. When they go in a year's time, when they start looking back at the greatest goals in Champions League histories, they're not going to go, Van der Ven's is not in there because it was against Copenhagen. Like, it's going to be in there, and nobody's going to go, oh, but it's just going to be a goal that people, like you watch the Premier League years, it's not only goals that are scored against United and your Chelseas and your Spurs, it's any team that plays in the Premier League.
Yeah,
100%. When you watch Messi's goal, if you remember, Ancora Messi. Who cares that it was Getafe? Who knows whether that it was Getafe? All they saw was Messi score wildly, and that's the same thing for this. Like it especially with Spurs, it does not matter who the opposition is. I'm sorry to say, like yeah. So that was incredible. And on the back of that point that you made about them walking past Frank, I think it was Chris that you made that point 100%. That the fact that he in my opinion, again, it wasn't acceptable, and I understand him not wanting to go round and clap the fans, but what Frank is trying to do is exactly what Klopp did when he was at Liverpool, when there was that 3-3 draw that he had against West Brom, and he called all the players to do that. It's building that bond between the fans and the players, and for Van der Ven and Spence to walk out like that. I'm glad that he had that kind of performance, because I think when things like that happen, stuff like that gets brushed under the carpet and you just move on. So
100%. If we'd have dropped points, or if we'd have lost against Copenhagen, it would have 100%. It would have been, as Frank lost the dressing room, the vice captains disregarded him. Spencer's and it just goes and goes. But when he delivers a performance like that, it's almost like I was wrong, and here's me proving a point, sort of thing. So I definitely think I think it should just be a standard for every single Premier League team to go home or away and go and clap the fans. I don't know why this is almost like it's a specialist thing. This should just be happening as a standard. And I understand that some players get a whole load of abuse for it, and it can be a negative thing. But this whole I don't agree with the Vicario kind of calling out the fans and this, that, and the other. I think there needs to be an expectation from both sides. You can't be sitting there booing when the team's played well, but at the same time, you can't be playing poorly or not showing fight, not showing aggression, not showing it, especially in a derby, and then expecting to be cheered off the pitch. Like it's both ways. This works both ways, right?
Oh yeah, and the fans obviously understand that we're never going to win every game. No team's ever going to win every game. You are going to lose game 0 draw. But I think I said it the first couple of games of the season, that when we've had a bit of a bad patch, and we've gone 1-0 or 2-0 down, we end up pulling back a point in the last sort of 5 minutes of the game. That's something that Spurs haven't done previously. If we've gone 2-0 down, everyone starts going, oh, we've lost this game now. That's us. So I was quite pleased that, although it was a bad performance, and obviously you have to pick that up. When you see players actually showing that fight and that willingness to, the game's not over, let's just keep going. We might get something here, even if it is a 2-2 draw, we take a point. A point's better than nothing. At the end of the season, when you might have lost 7 games and say you lose 5 and you get 5 points, that could take up a position or 2 in the league, and that could end up getting you from Europa League into Champions League, or conference into Europa League, and that's what could get you up there. So, yeah, we need to appreciate they're never going to win everything, and I think most Spurs fans this season at the start was before the season kicked off. It was a case of, well, this is a rebuild. This is Thomas Frank's season to get the players that he's got, try and get it working, figure out what he wants to do and how he's going to do it. No one expects us to be sort of even challenging for the top 4. I think my prediction was I'd be happy with 8th and above. If we can get up there, it means it's a massive stepping stone that we've taken forward. It shows we're moving in the right direction. But I think when you've had a bad run of form and some bad performances, and you sort of get the heat from the fans and the press, and everyone's on your back to get a win like this, even if it is against Copenhagen, where the odds will probably stack in our favour. And I don't know what the odds were for us to win that game, but I reckon we was quite high on favourites. But you've still got to go out there and win the game. Doesn't matter if you're favourites or not. You still got to go out there, perform and win. And to win that how we did, it's nothing but a confidence booster.
100%. It probably come at the perfect time, right? Because we've got a real tough run of fixtures now. You mean you've got United, PSG coming up. I think at the end of the tough run, you've even got Newcastle. I think Arsenal are in there. Like, we've got some real tough games coming up. So players like Xavi Simons, we mentioned it earlier, they needed a game where they could just come in and dominate. And I think that was, I was really impressed with Xavi Simons. I don't know what you guys because we've been away for so long. I feel like we probably just signed him just when I stopped streaming. But what Manny, what are your thoughts on Xavi Simons? And obviously that performance is probably one of his best probably the best in the Spurs shirt, I would say.
Yeah, listen. So with Xavi, first and foremost, he is not the only. Obviously, we've had. He's not the only 10 who's coming from the German league and has struggled. Right? We've got Florian Wirtz, who cost 126 million. Up in Liverpool, who's struggling. We also had, even when Havertz came in again as a 10, was really struggling. I think there is an issue with the 10s that come in from the German league who think they have an extra second to think, look up, pass the ball, and the Premier League is really unforgiving. So my issue with Xavi is not his quality, because you can see he's got the quality. You can, even against Copenhagen and how he played, that was an impressive performance, right, in the 10. I think the issue that he has is that he hasn't played a lot in that 10 in his career. So he actually doesn't, his qualities are of a 10, but he doesn't think, when he's on the ball and he's on the pitch, he doesn't think very quickly as a 10. His positioning is not as quickly as a 10. So I actually put it on Frank, in the sense of, Frank has to play him there week in, week. Every time he plays him, he has to play him there to get the guy acclimatized to the position. Because I was a big critic of Maddison, but there was a certain point during the past 2 months where I was thinking, damn, we need Maddison back. You know what I'm trying to say? And for me to
I know
want
what you got
Maddison
till it's
back,
gone.
exactly. For me to want Maddison back just shows that position was in dire need. However, against Copenhagen, that performance was a really good performance. Got the ball, raised his head up, released it very quickly. Even that point where he drifted to the right-hand side, got the ball, and within the split of a second, crossed it in from Wani, who should have scored with that header. That is what we need. We need him to dictate the play. We need him to drop into those pockets, get the ball, and then drive us up. And in the past, he's not been doing that. I think Copenhagen, obviously, there is the aspect of the fact that they left us with major big spaces, but Xavi played against Doncaster, and he was awful in the 10. So yeah, I think he is getting himself there. He has to build his confidence as well, guys. Like, let's be serious. You know what I mean? So the more he plays, the more confident he gets, and the more he can drive us up, because it's crucial. It's crucial that he plays well. If he doesn't play well, we might as well play 3 at the back with 2 wing backs because there's zero creativity. So I was happy with him. I was really, really happy with him. I don't doubt his quality at all. I just doubt his ability to play in that 10 position. But he needs time, hopefully, and I think with time and confidence, he begins to play better, just like he did against Copenhagen.
Yeah, I've liked some bits from him. I think he's been tracking back. I know he's made a couple of tackles that have been poor, and he was lucky not to be sent off in one of them. But he's showing endeavour. He's showing the characteristics that you want. You don't want, and there's very few now that are kind of them sorts of players where they can just swan around and not do too much. They have to be. I mean, you look at Damsgaard at Brentford, for example. When he first came into the league, you're looking at him very slight. Don't get around the pitch very well. He's kind of a bit of a luxury player. And then you watch him last year, and I think he's very similar to Simmons in the fact that he's sometimes better operating from deep and pushing into the 10 opposed to already being there. I remember Bow actually had a little bit of this problem when he first went further forward, was he was already in the positions where normally he would be in full flight once he gets into them, where he's at, and then all of a sudden he just learned. Obviously, Bow was an unbelievable player, and he just picked it up really quickly, and then it was like that. He just found a new home. But I think that's the problem for Xavi. I think Xavi's almost so far forward in the play where he's expecting to be running into that space as opposed to already being there. And then also you got to adapt to the Premier League, right? It's different. It's a different kettle of fish. We've been saying this for years about the Premier League. It's just that it's different. Talking about creativity, I don't know whether you've seen, but just before we came on air, Spurs put out a little training video and captioned it on X, gearing up for Saturday. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Mohamed Kudus was in any of the training, which could be a big negative. However, it will probably mean that Xavi Simmons does get another start in that 10 position, or at least in the side, maybe off the left. We shall see. But it kind of leads into your point, Manny, right? That he's only going to get better by playing games. That's it. So if he's starting games, then hopefully he can get that rhythm a little bit. He's got a bit more confidence now. I think some of the stuff that he's very good at, if you're lacking confidence, it's very, very difficult no matter how good you are. So Xavi likes to get the ball to feet. He likes to play it around the corners. He likes quick 1-2s. And if you're not confident, your first touch is sometimes off. Your pinpoint passing is not as accurate as it should be, which we see case in point with Van der Ven when Moses Salcedo. No, I think his name is. So he stole it off of him, and obviously I again go back to that Xavi Simmons pass. So that could be a huge blow against United. I think Kudus is the sort of player that you want, especially against.
Don't be afraid, Luki. We've got Johnson.
Well, listen, he may be playing in that position, right? He played their right wing.
I think he will.
Every game last year, and if he's out, then maybe he is the one to pop up. He's got decent history against Man United, if I remember rightly. I think he scored a pretty decent goal last year against United. Johnson again, ole ole, maybe we shall see. Listen, it doesn't. I don't think when there's certain rumours that come out, then sometimes it could just be a bit of hearsay. But I think the fact that he's not in the video is quite damning. Although he did release, I don't know where it came from, but he released some sort of statement saying that he feels better and he's hoping that he does play against United, and that was a few hours ago. So maybe it's a little bit of they're trying to be a little bit clever with who might be starting.
They've probably got training again tomorrow as well, isn't it? So
yeah, I would guess so. Obviously,
yeah,
Bergvall won't be playing because he's still part of the concussion. He won't be playing because of the 5:30 kickoff. If it was a later kickoff, he may have been okay. But yeah, it's really, really a tough one if he's not playing, because that's where the creativity comes from. Especially if Simmons is not hitting the Premier League form that's required. I think one thing that's been really quite telling over the last couple of weeks, we discussed it just before we came online, but the whole Spence Udogie situation, there was so many fans saying that Spence should almost be a guaranteed starter week in, week out, all of the time, regardless last year, even when, for instance, in the Bournemouth game, we conceded 2 goals and they were both his fault, but everyone else got lambasted for their defending and Porro being out of position when in fact Spence lost his man twice. I like Spence, by the way. This isn't a criticism of him at all, but I think it's really interesting now that all of a sudden there's loads of the fan base that are saying, well, Udogie should be starting week in, week out. Where do you sit on the left back situation, Chris? Do you think that there should be a favoured one? Should there be, depending on what game, depending on what opposition? How would you play it if you was Mr. Thomas Frank?
It's a tough one, as you say, because naturally I like to have my left back to be left-footed, same as your left-sided centre back, and you wouldn't. I don't really know if there's any right backs with a natural left foot that have played at right back. Even normally they always favour the left side. That's the only real criticism I've got of, not even a criticism, it's the only sort of negative I'd say about Spence is that he's not naturally left footed. But other than that, he's played his way into the team, and fair play to him. Even the end of last season, he wasn't looked at all. And he really did. When he got his chance, he took it, and he gave the manager a headache. And I think Thomas Frank's now got that headache again. And it's not a bad headache to have, but unfortunately, you're going to have one of them. I think Porro, unless again, Porro gives a lot. He does do a lot more than just. I mean, he's defending's criticised at time, but Spence is a very good defender. Going forward, he does give you he has got the pace and the ability to get forward as well. But I think you're right. I think there'll be certain games where Spence will probably start just because the person who's playing opposite him, he'll have a better chance of man marking, probably getting the tackles in and keeping him quiet. Whereas Udogie, although he can defend, it's more the pushing on, the going forward and giving us that extra sort of overlap on the wide he brings. And obviously, again, naturally left-footed, it does give you that sense of it's always going to go that way, and it does give you that comfortability. So yeah, I really like Spence. I think I'm very, very pleased about how he's not whined, he's not moaned, he's just obviously worked hard, he's got his chance, and then he's just gone, you know what, if I've got to play left back, I'll play left back, that's fine, and just literally played out of his socks, and fair play to him.
Yeah, Manny, where do you sit on the Udogie Spence debate?
Well, when Udogie came back from injury last season, and Ange brought him in, the fan base were in uproar and said that Ange didn't know what he was doing. He's throwing Spence under the bus, and those same fans at the moment are saying that Udogie has to play. Which is quite weird, but that's just by the by. Listen, I think Chris.
Are you
Chris
saying there was
right.
some sort of an agenda? Is that what you're saying?
Who knows? There's a lot of gems that I'll be dropping to this evening, but let's keep going. But yeah, you're right. Chris is right. Chris is spot on. Like, the problem with Spencer's position is that it's not the solitary role of, playing forward and defending. That's the issue. So what I mean by that is, if you look at on the right hand side, Porro and Kudus have developed a very good understanding of how they play. Right, they've got a very good relationship, both going forward and defending backwards. So when Porro is, one-on-one with a tricky defender, you see how speedily Kudus comes back. When they're going forward, Porro knows when to overlap. He doesn't overlap all the time. He knows when to leave Kudus to go inside right or outside right. So that relationship has really developed well. If you now look on the left-hand side, and if you take into consideration the fact that, as a left winger, Audibert, I think, must have played majority of the games in that left wing department more than any of the other team, the other players. So like Xavi hasn't played as many. Johnson hasn't played as many. Whoever it is, it's been Audibert. If you look at Audibert's relationship with Udogie, it's been very good. When I was watching them against Leeds, I was thinking that is really, really good. Udogie knows when to run and overlap. Odobert knows when to release the ball to Udogie. The problem with Spence is that he hasn't developed that relationship with any of our wingers.
Yeah.
Whenever he plays, be it on the left or even on the right, it seems a bit awkward when you're going forward. But he's very, very good defending one, especially one-on-one. So it's a good conundrum to have. But I think that Udogie is first choice. I think he's first choice because, as Chris said, he's a natural left winger, left-footed left winger, which means left-footed left back, which means that when he overlaps Odobert, he's able to put the ball in using his left foot rather than having to cut in on his right foot like Spence does and then lose momentum. And he's generally just a better attacker. So I don't think it's that big an issue, to be completely honest, because you play Udogie, he's injury prone anyway, so you just alternate them. You alternate them and bring Spence in when you need to, when there is a tricky winger, like even against Manchester United. I'm thinking I wouldn't be mad seeing Udogie on Spence on the team sheet, because if you look on that left-hand side, or on our left-hand side, he's gonna be against Mbeumo and Ahmad, who are really, really good tricky wingers. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad problem to have, especially if we want to be a serious team. We need to have good players in every position.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the problem is, and there's a few players like this, that as players and individuals, they are very, very good. Spence, as you said, superb one-on-one defender. However, the negatives that he brings, i.e. the fact that he's not left-footed, the fact that he occasionally will overlap, but most of the time that he's not going to whip in a cross or anything like that. Kind of what he's going to do. There's many positives of that player, but there's also some negatives as well. And I think, like Palhinha, for instance, got a lot of criticism from Carragher. I think it was a bit over the top. I don't think Palhinha is a poor player by any means. But if you've got a Palhinha type with him, how often should a Bentancur be playing? How often should he be playing with someone who's a little bit more? And I think that's the problem we've got. So, like Spence, as I said, lacking width. If he was to be paired with a winger that's almost, I think Savinho is the perfect sort of player for this, is that a player that stays really wide, then Spence coming in field is not too impactful, because as you just rightly said, if you've got a fullback that's flying on the overlap, it means the winger comes in field. So if you just swap it round and the winger stays wide and the defender comes in more in field, it's exactly the same thing, just coming from different spaces. But I think Odobert is a player that likes to start wide, but he drifts in. And all of our other wingers, they are inside forwards for sure. They're not sort of wingers at all. Odobert for me is the only one that would kind of stay out there. Johnson, I think you mentioned most of them. Tells, they're all looking to come in straight away immediately. And that just clogs up, because Spence is also doing that same sort of thing. So I think a lot of our players, they've got very good characteristics with them individually. The problem that we've got is that they need to be the right pairing. And I think the best pairing that we've got in this team, obviously at this moment in time, is Mickey van der Ven and Romero. They know each other's game. They're negative. The negative on one side is the positive on the other side. One's good at, to be fair, I think they're both actually better on the ball than we've seen, but Romero being the aggressive one and Van der Ven being able to sweep because of how quick he is, like they just work as a unit when you put them up as players. And I don't think we have enough of that. I actually think Porro and Kudos is exactly that as well. I think Porro is an intelligent footballer who will learn. How many times have we said, why has the defender gone near that winger? He's good one-on-one. Just leave him to it. Do you know what I mean? And Porro's done that on occasions. So I think that's part of our issue, and we need to develop them in sort of relationships. Injuries constantly being an issue is obviously something that prevents players from playing, and therefore they don't build up them relationships. But it definitely feels like their relationship building needs to take place and fairly quickly, for me anyway, because I think that attacking wise, that's where you start creating chances, right? Because people understand where movements are being made.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. I think I already know most people's answers on this, but what is your thoughts on Mwani coming in and seeing like he's getting a little bit more up to fitness now? Obviously, he didn't score against Copenhagen, but the touch for Odegaard's goal was sublime, especially for a player that probably isn't full of confidence because he's not scoring. Chris, what do you think about Mwani as a signing, and what did you think about when he came in? And is that how you still feel about him?
I mean, having another striker to give sort of Solanke and Richarlison some competition is always good, because Richarlison and Solanke I don't rate very highly. I think we've got better, and I think Dane Scarlett, when he come on, he seemed very active. He won the penny. I gutted for him that he didn't take the penny. I don't know why Richarlison took it. I'd have literally snatched the ball out of his hand and said, "Give me that. I'm taking it. It's mine. I want to score my first Champions League goal."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that baffled me. But I think now that Mwani's getting his fitness up, he's getting a bit sharper as well. I think it was his first chance where Simmons sort of played some short little 1-2s, got inside the box, cut it back to him, and he just put it wide. You could see that the angle wasn't right to go across the keeper, so he had to try and get it in, and it's still quite a tight angle, so you don't expect him to score it. But it's good that he's ready for it, and it's good that he's getting that sharpness up to get there. So I hope he does come good. I think I didn't think he was a bad signing, and I think to get him on loans, obviously, probably a perfect scenario for everyone. He puts himself in the shop window. He gets some game time as well, and obviously with the World Cup next year, all these players are looking to be knocking on the door for their national team. So I think everyone just wants to go to a team where you're guaranteed game time. But I hope he comes really good. I did like the signing. I think he is still quite young as well. I don't think he seems like
26, isn't he? Something like that. 25,
Oh, really?
26. Yeah. He's been around. He's been at Eintracht Frankfurt. He's been at PSG. He was obviously
I thought he's one of these players that have been around forever, but still only 22. I think it was recently when City signed Donnarumma. I'm sure Donnarumma's like 28, and I was like, "There's no way." I thought that geezer was pushing like 34 or something. But again, he's been around so long, you just expect him to be that age, but he's not. He come on the scene at like 16, I think.
Mate, Theo Walcott was full of potential at 34. He was like full of potential. Do you know what I mean? He's like one of them players that have been around for donkey's years.
I think Mwani, he unfortunately has not settled into a home. You know what I mean? So he was at Frankfurt, got showed promise, went to PSG, didn't work because PSG was. I think he went when the likes of Mbappe and co were there anyway. So it was tough anyway. And then when Enrique came, he had a different idea on how to play. So he went to Juve, and now he's with us. So he's looking for a home. And I just think that cameo against Copenhagen just told me everything I needed to know about Mwani, because I think after Kane, the caliber of forwards that we've had has literally just made me starve for any sort of intent in our forward line. And that's what I saw against Copenhagen. He was running, like even the touch that you just mentioned that he got from the sky. It's the way he ran after that ball that impressed me the most, because he didn't see that ball to be a lost cause. Whilst if that was my good old friend Richarlison, he would have been jogging the same speed as me. And I'm telling you, I'm like 120 kg now, right? My good old days are gone. And I love the geezer. Like, I love his attitude. I love him as a person, but as our striker, a top 6 striker, unfortunately, he's not good enough. And Solanke being injured, we need Mwani to work. We need him to put in the performances that he has. And to be fair, I'm not scared of him not doing that, because I don't know whether it was Chris. I don't know whether Chris said it or whether it was Luke that said it, but he wants to get into that France team to go to play in the World Cup next year. So he has a lot to do, because that France team is stacked with talent. So I think that alone is going to be such motivation for him to put in good performances for us. And Copenhagen is definitely a start because I was very impressed. Not because, he obviously he missed some chances, but he was in the right position at the right time. How many times have I looked in the box and there's a ball that's been played across or whatever, and then Richarlison is nowhere to be seen. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm really hopeful. I think he is also bearing in mind that he's French, right? Speaks French. Audebert speaks French. Xavi speaks French, and you could see that intricacy, that little connection that they were forming.
You've left that tail again,
mate. My good old friend Tell, man. Anyway, but you get my point. Obviously, I don't know what language Johnson speaks other than English, but, but I don't think languages is Johnson's problem. But I think we're starting to see something there, and I don't even mind if we're able to showcase that relationship against the likes of Wolves, those other teams. Yeah, man, I was impressed because I was impressed. And I hope he comes good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Big up, Johnny. Give Moani time. He's only arrived. Only arrived. Yes, brilliant touches, as you say. Berbatov-esque. Do you know what? I was actually thinking, when was the last time? And I just exclude Kane because Kane is he's just a joke. When was the last time we had a striker that could do that touch? When was it was probably Berbatov.
Yeah,
and that's not. Listen, it was an outstanding touch, but how many times would the ball drop down and our striker that had come off his shin, go out for a goal kick, turn around?
My thought was when he took the touch, I thought he's going to try and score it. He's going to have a shot on goal because every striker who's desperate for a goal is going to want to score. So then to take the touch and go, here you go, and then to lay it off, we get the goal and it looks brilliant. But yeah, I was expecting him to fully go. And again, when you're a striker, you want to score. All you want to do is score goals. I expect him to just want to get that goal, just want to put the ball in the back of the net. He's got it, but. Yeah,
can I say something? That's a very good point, Chris. Yeah, because look, what I was thinking as well, that's footballing intelligence. How it's all about the team rather than yourself. And in that intricate passing that Moani also missed, that sitter. I saw that in Xavi as well, because Xavi went through on goal. He could have shot. Instead, he wanted the easier goal. So we've got something there. We've got something that we just need to develop it.
Yeah, there's been quite a few times this season where I feel like I understand the discord in the fan base for Richarlison. I think some things he does is absolutely horrendous. But there have been occasions where I've looked at it and I thought we are so far away from him and the ball's lumped up and we're kind of asking him to work miracles.
Yeah.
And then the same thing was happening with Moani, but he just holds it. He just scraps a bit more. He just the control's just that bit better. The body, the strength is just that bit stronger.
And he's not a big boy. He's not big at all, is he? Like you look at Moani, and he's probably.
I think Richarlison is a big, strong, physical player.
Yeah,
and he doesn't hold the ball up. Like it's not just about being 6'5" and huge or anything like that. He just holds the ball well, Moani. It's almost like if you're in like. Strikers or attackers will always be saying, if I give it to you, don't lose it. Like give it to me. And the Xavi, and this is what I meant about Xavi, is that Xavi's the kind of player, and I'm not trying to compare players at all, but Messi was the best ever at give me the ball, but I'll give you the ball, give me it back. Give me the ball, give it back. And Xavi's that's what he does. So if he's playing with low technical players, Xavi won't shine. I don't think Xavi's the sort of player that can dominate a really poor team. I think he needs better players with him, and then he creates the star for him. Like that's why I think he's actually Audebert. I think is very intelligently. He's an intelligent footballer. So much so that he's probably more intelligent than he is technically, which is a bit strange for some players. But I can see that Xavi, the link up play between them, I think they're on the same wavelength.
Hmm.
And I think
I
the
agree.
problem that Xavi has is that there's not that many that are on his wavelength at the moment, and that could just be because people need to get a bit more understanding of what he's going to do and where he's going to go. But
And
I think some
time will
players,
bring
like
that.
it happens. It happens like anywhere. You don't have to be like an incredible footballer. It will happen at Sunday League where there'll be just two players that just understand where they're going. Kane and Son was the prime example. They didn't look. They would just flick the ball around. They'd know where each other is. And I feel like Xavi needs to find that with another player, and that will improve the whole team. I think really. In terms of Moani, would Moani be your starting striker going forward? Like obviously fitness all comes into it and everything else, but Moani for you guys are both a starting one.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
I completely agree.
No questions about that.
In terms of that left winger, I suppose that's been the big sort of question mark that Spurs fans have had. And again, it could just come down to who's playing left back or who we're playing against, for instance. But do you think Odobert is the one that's kind of not nailed it down, but seems to be favoured, particularly at this moment in time, Chris?
I feel like it's about when you're getting played, taking your chances. I feel like he's shown what he can do, and he's opened Frank's eyes to what he can do, and that's probably why he's getting a bit more. But I think also Frank will be looking to rotate the team as well a bit because we are playing midweek and then Saturday mornings as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if Odobert doesn't start on Saturday just because he'll want to rotate. But for me, if Bergval's going to play in a 10, I think Xavi goes out on the left. But if Xavi's going to play in the 10, I think Odobert is definitely going to go out. And that's probably where the next sort of thing is. Is it going to be Polinia and Bergval? Is it Polinia with
Bergval
Sarr?
can't play this weekend.
No, but like going forward, if it's going to be Odobert, it's going to be like if it's Odobert wide left, Kudus wide right, and Xavi Simons playing that central 10 role, he's then got to pick two centre midfielders. And then is that where then Bergval comes in with Polinia or Bentancur, and and then where does Sarr fit in, and how does it all? Do you know what I mean? It's nice to have these issues because I understand the fan base about having Bentancur and Polinia both in midfield together. When you've got players like Sarr who can nick the ball back and take it forward, same with Bergval, he can drive you forward and he can get involved in that link up. It's hard to not want one of them in there, and I think that's what the fan base want to see is that, because then you add another player into that. You've got then your Bergvals linking in with your Simmons and your Odeberts with your Kudus and Wani, and that all sounds like the perfect mixture. We're going to get so much creativity out of that. And then you've got Polinia just sitting there, just giving you that holding sort of confidence to then if the wides go. So, for me, Odebert starts left, no doubt. I don't think he's going to change it. I think Tell looks like he's going to come on and be more of a striker than a wide man. But then
that surprised me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Manny, what are your thoughts? Odobert, is he the? I wouldn't say he's nailed down. As I said, I think definitely that's the position we need to improve and probably do look in January if possible. But at the very latest, we'd do it in the summer. But is Odobert the number one at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I'm gonna say something that people are gonna like, but like I genuinely think if there is of our youngsters, if there's someone that Frank can develop and should really focus on is Odobert, because he's got the quality. Like he is the only out and out proper touchline winger we have. Like he gets the ball, the first thing he's thinking about is taking his man on. He can go left, he can go right. His issue is decision making. He doesn't show the maturity needed to nail down that spot, but also he doesn't show the strength needed to nail down that spot. And he's one of those that had we gone out and bought someone like Semenyo, he would have really benefited from that, or Savinho, he would have really benefited from that, because he would have been, in competition with quality wingers, and that would have only elevated him. With Tell, I I just don't understand why he is being deployed as a striker, because to me, his every quality he has is as a winger. So, but that's not where he's playing. So that's just that. Johnson is not a left winger anyway. And Xavi, in my opinion, is not a left winger. We need him in that 10. So Odegaard is the only player that we can play. He is slick enough to be able to play. I just worry that he gets lost in the big games, or in the games. He just gets lost a bit too much.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's experience. He hasn't got the maturity yet to be able to, take a game by the scruff of the neck. But at the moment, that's what we have. That's what we have, Luke. So that's that. I reckon he's going to play on Saturday as well.
Yeah, I think he works best with the sort of setup that we have, for sure. I think, as you said, Udogie on the overlap. I feel like Odegaard, as I said, starts wide, so can play with Spence. But I also think that he's able to come inside, and therefore Udogie is the perfect sort of like fullback in terms of overlapping. But Chris, you touched on it there, and again, this is what I keep going back to, and it's made me realize it even more. And it's said across football all the time about it being like a puzzle, but it's almost like if Bentancur and Palini are playing together, if you've got fullbacks that are absolutely rampaging forward, then that allows you to have enough defensive players in that defensive third to cover for that. But if you're playing, I think the problem that we have is that when we play against teams that we really should dominate, and our makeup is not only Bentancur and Palini, when it's also Spence, that's when I think that we have issues, because Porro can do what he likes whether he goes forward or not, but you've then got 5 very defensive players on that pitch against the team you should be dominating. So that's where I think the fandom is where they're really frustrated, is that in games when you're at home against a team that should be finishing in the bottom 5 or 6, you should have a player that's able to progress the ball better than the midfielders that we currently have. But as I said, if you change it up and you actually had Udogie almost like a winger, Porro flying past Kudus, then actually you've only got 4 defensive players in there. I think it possibly can work, but I think again it's the makeup with who we can pair who with. But it's a difficult one, right? Because like we've got United, as I said, we've got PSG, so we've got some real strong teams coming up. Do you want to start being a bit more gung-ho? Do you want to be more defensive? Oh, a lot of people think that actually Frank should be better suited against teams that are better, because they're more likely to come at us, and therefore we don't really need to create, because there'll be just gaps that you'll be able to run into. So what are your thoughts on Frank and the way he's doing it? Do you agree getting the defensive system sorted first before worrying about the attack? Is it purely because the injuries? Because they're not going to change, right? I mean, Solanke has not been fit for a very long time. Madison's not going to be back. Kulusevski's not going to be back. So where does this all of a sudden click? What happens? Is it just playing their players in the same positions, getting them used to each other? Does Frank have to adjust? What do you think, Chris?
I think Frank's shown that he can adjust in games. I think what I was expecting and what we was talking about sort of pre-season at the start of the season was how much he would change, and if he would change like drastic formations every day, and how that would work. But I think again we brought in 3 or 4 players, so Frank's got the squad that he's using. He may have wanted to bring in more. He may have wanted to get rid of some, because I don't think we actually got rid of many players, to be fair. So it will all depend. I think Basuma, I don't know if he's still injured or if he's just been kicked to the curb. If he's
injured.
Yeah, so there's a lot of players I think that will maybe moved on. January might be telling as well if we do bring in 1 or 2 and maybe move on 1 or 2. But I don't think we've got a bad squad. I just feel like Frank's come in with a whole new tactic and a whole new way of playing, and probably trying to change a lot. And the players are just still adjusting to that. The performances, obviously, we should be performing better. I think, as I said earlier, we don't expect to win every game, but we expect them players to go out there and give 100% to every game and fight for everything, especially in the London derbies against Chelsea. Even if we do lose, we lose. But if we lose, we actually go at it. For me, when I started watching the Chelsea game, it was like they wanted to turn it into a fight. They wanted the tackles got heavier, and I mean, and it's naturally known as that fixture. But for me, I'm like, let's beat them with the football. Yes, we want to see you not pull out of tackles, and yes, we want to see you show heart. But I feel like we want to just see that the 100% given every game and that intensity given every game. Obviously, with that also does come your injuries and everything else. But I think Frank's is getting there. I don't think it's the final puzzle. I think he hasn't found it yet. He may not even. I think it was before the Chelsea game. They reckon that he hasn't even found his 11 yet. But I was like, he must be getting an idea of who his 11 is. You've obviously got one or two problems like where you think it may be him, it could be him. Obviously, having players injured like your strikers, and that doesn't help. But
I think he's got the base. I think he's got 6 or 7 that he's sure on. But then out of that, I mean, you're back, your Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Palhinha, Kudos. They are guaranteed every week if they're fit, they play, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I do think that left back it sometimes depends on fitness. I think it sometimes depends on who they're against. And then it looks like Bentancur is the guy, but I still believe that Morgan Gibbs-White was that purchase that we tried to get for was him, and Palhinha was what they were going to try to do, especially in the games where we should dominate more, because he's progressive, he's athletic, he can get around the pitch, and he will be in defensive positions, but maybe not the best defensive player. So I do think that that's a player that we'll be looking to upgrade. I don't think he would have played in the 10, or he would have been an option as a 10, but I think he would have been more like the 8 sort of player. But I've been saying this for a long time. I think a lot of our players are players that are really good options off the bench. But like Odobert, for instance, coming in, playing a few games, coming off the bench, that's a great option. Johnson's a prime example for me. Like Johnson starting as your right winger for a top Premier League club is not acceptable. However, if you've got Kudos starting and then Johnson's coming on, I'm like, that's a decent option off the bench. That changes the complexion of your squad and everything else. So I think that's our problem, is that we've got too many players that are the second option and they're not the first. Like, and I think Manny, you mentioned it earlier. I think we needed another winger that was going to be the starting guy, and you let Odobert just develop almost in the background a bit. Come on, get minutes, play a few games, play in games where it may be not as high level, whatever. And I think he would develop better by doing that than starting every single week. And then whenever he has a bad game, Spurs fans are straight on him, going like, well, he's not enough and everything else. I don't think that benefits anyone. What about you, Manny?
No, I agree. I'm going to say a few things, right? So bear with me. I keep hearing this notion, and I know you mentioned it because obviously it has been said, right? But this whole thing about Frank coming in, the fluidity going forward is not as fluid because Frank has come in and he's focusing on the defense. It's the most bizarre concept I have ever heard, right? Since I don't know how long. Because how many coaches did he come with? And this I heard this first, and I'm not going to mention names, but I heard this first from some really, really, really big Frank advocates, and I have zero issues with Frank, right? But this notion just baffles me because he's got a lot of attacking coaches. He's got Cochrane or whatever his name was, which we had to wait to announce Frank because he had to come in. He's the one who turned Mbeumo into Mbeumo. And I believe it because, to be completely honest, Mbeumo could not hit the barn door. And then all of a sudden he started hitting goals left, right, center. This notion that he can only do one thing at a time is nonsense. You can sort out the defense, which I was told by the likes of Danny and Co that was the simplest thing on earth, right? And sort our fluidity going forward as well. That's the first thing I want to say, right? The second thing I want to say, which goes back to, like, I remember at the very, very start when we didn't have Paulinho, I remember coming on here once and you mentioned that you didn't think Paulinho was the right profile for our squad, and you can see it now. And I'm not slagging off Paulinho at all, right? Because he's amazing at ball recovery. He's amazing at interception and getting the ball back, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I think you said that all that time ago, which I am realizing now, is the issue we're having with this whole Bentancur Paulinho. And the reason why I'm saying that is, ideally, what you would want is your destroyer to be able to then either carry the ball, right, or be able to spray the passes to get us into transition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Paulinho does not do any of that. He is a great ball recoverer, and as soon as he does that, he releases that 5-yard pass. Now, for a top 6 team, that is good, but it's not good enough, right? I'm not saying Paulinho is not good enough. I'm just saying, if you look at the top 6 teams, so if you look at City, right, with Rodri is someone who gains the ball, but then as soon as he gains the ball, he's able to pass, split the midfield with a pass, right, and gets the team into a transition. When I'm watching Gravenberch for Liverpool, that guy just carries the ball and takes 2-3 men out of the game after he recovers the ball. When you look at Arsenal, whether you want to put Rice there or Zubamendi there, they can do that, right? They can do. When you come to us, unfortunately, we've got the issue whereby our best ball recoverer, who's Paulinho, who's technically probably even one of the best in the league, as soon as he gets the ball, releases a 5-yard pass rather than a pass that gets us onto a situation. So that is the issue that we're currently having with playing both Paulinho and Bentancur. And I think Paulinho, Bentancur is probably the one who Frank will need to. Look at this guy. I was literally having a massive argument with him in a group chat about XG. Anyway,
big up box office. How we doing, sir?
Mr. Alex. But that is the issue that we're having in midfield at the moment. So that's one thing that I want to park for just 2 seconds, right? The next thing I want to say is, for me, Frank needs he needs 3 windows, in my opinion, to be able to build a certain level. Obviously, unless he loses like 15 games in a row or something.
Yeah, I love it that some people don't caveat that. They're like, no, he should get 3 years. All right, what if we lose 30?
No.
He gets to get 3 years.
Exactly. Yeah. But the notion that comes out of these Frank super fans, right, on YouTube, that because Frank deserves time, you cannot dissect a game of football, must be the most agenda driven load of nonsense I've heard in a long time. Because you've got this set of fans who literally were telling me, we had 0.05 xg, which is what Box Office was mentioning. But no, Frank hasn't got the players to play. I'm like, what a load of nonsense. Like Chris said, fans are not going to boo because you've lost the game. Fans will boo if they see that you've not put in the effort. You've not showed fight. You've not showed any intent. That is when fans are going to get annoyed. That is when they're going to get annoyed. So I'm sorry to say, look at this guy. I'm sorry to say, you cannot tell me Frank cannot be. You cannot dissect Frank and cannot judge the way he plays just because he just came in. Like when you watch that Chelsea game, it was as if we the guys had not trained how to play out of a press. The first thing that Porro thought of as soon as he was being pressed was to lump the ball up. He would lump the ball up. The ball will come. The ball will come back again. It makes zero sense to see something like that and say to me, Frank has not got the players. What are you talking about?
Yeah, as I said, I completely agree. Whether it's about having players or not, and I agree with what you're saying as well. Just about the whole. It looks like, and this was the same. Like Ange didn't look like he'd done a lot of defensive work. He didn't. He looked like most of it was all around attacking. But it looks the opposite now. It looks like we don't do any attacking. It looks like they're finding out them relationships on the pitch as opposed to on the training ground. So there has to be a bit of balance. And I feel like as a club
100%.
we've not had balance because sometimes we seem to flop between one idea to another. We've done it consistently. You could even argue the Frank to Ange was a massive change because you go from and I know what people will say about Ange's tactics towards the end were poor. They weren't attacking. There's so many different varieties, but the whole ethos around Ange was attacking football. And then we went to Frank, who was defensive again. It's again another huge transition from one thing to another. So it's really, really strange. But I feel like, especially with the whole the Ange and the Frank, is that there's so many people that have pinned their hat on Frank so much that no matter what happens, they have to back him. But actually, for me, I don't care. Like Ange particularly, I don't care about Ange. I don't care the fact that he's gone. I certainly wouldn't wish him ill, which some people do, that I still find strange. But all I care about is if Spurs are winning games and they're playing well, that's exactly what I want. I want to see my team play well and I want to see them win games. And my point is the fact that I'm just looking at the tables now. So in the Champions League, we're 10th. And I said that top 8 would be a very, very good season for obviously like for the group stages sort of thing. So we're there or thereabouts. Although we've got PSG next, so obviously that might skew that. And then we're 6th in the Premier League, and as Chris mentioned earlier, that's kind of where we're saying 6 to 8, kind of where we would be, right? But the performances for me have not reached them levels. So what my thing was, and listen, teams play bad and get points, and that's a great thing to have. That's a brilliant trait to have. But you can't consistently play bad and find yourself out of holes and pick up points. Liverpool were the prime example for that, right? They started poorly and everyone was going, don't worry, because they'll get better. And they didn't. They in fact got worse and they stopped picking up points. And that was what I was saying is that, and I actually said it about the Copenhagen game, was that basically here he is. He wanted to come on and talk XG. And here he is, Mr. Box Office. How are we doing, sir?
Well, firstly, I need to make sure I can hear everybody, but I think I can hear everybody right now. But, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's technology for you, isn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, moving on. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You don't need to do the introductions on your channel because everybody should know me by now, the Mr. Box Office, Professor of Truth and Entertainment. Manny's nightmare, that chat's absolute rubbish, by the way. You know what I mean?
Oh my
absolute
God.
waffle, by the way. You know what I mean? Yeah? If you don't know, you should have got to know already. You know what I mean? It's amazing how I've been so quiet, yeah? Just focusing on my channel. You know what I mean? And focusing on just, focusing on rather myself, rather than other people that don't appreciate. Saba. So it's amazing how these, I do these things and I say things on my channel because then they start to age very well, very, very well. Manny's just proved it right now. That someone like Manny that doesn't even believe in the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, yeah, saying that all these people that are Frank fans at the moment, yeah, you know what I mean? Frank fans are saying, oh yeah. Why are you not believing in Frank for? Why are you not believing in him for? Yeah? Yeah. Maybe because we're boring to watch. That's one. Yeah? Maybe two. We should be playing a back three. You know what I mean? Playing a back three right now, yeah? Right? Maybe the fact that he keeps on playing with Charleston. Maybe the fact that, the midfield just looks inept. You know, maybe the fact that he keeps on playing Johnson on the left, on the right, whatever it is on the right when he's a striker rather than a bloody winger that can't do absolutely nothing. Yeah. Maybe the fact that we've got wing backs that need to be up, playing wing backs. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Has he
and
done
I'm
anything
including the
right,
Doji,
Alex?
even though he's rubbish in the final third, because people keep on saying that this guy's so brilliant in the final third. But if you actually watch in the last 3 years, because I've got my eyes, rather than stats and XG, which is a load of rubbish, right? Right, absolute load of rubbish, and you wonder why we don't have any top players now these days, because I'm worried about bloody XG rather than actually watching what's on the pitch. Yeah, right. This guy, Adoji, in the final third is absolutely crap, right? And if you watch in the last 3 years, you don't need stats to tell you this, right? He's crap. Yeah, this guy should have assist after assist after assist after assist after assist, and strike and shots that goal, but he keeps on messing it up every single time. You know what I mean? You know, it's not even joking. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so yeah, possibly, yeah, we need to have Javi Simmons and what is it, Kudos in the center. That's what we should be doing right now. Yeah, and the people that make excuses for the fact that we don't have decent players. There are people out there. Sean from Spurs Talk Show says that says that he rates Orderbear. He rates Mattis Tell. Well, okay then. If you rate those two players, there's no excuses for Javi Simmons not playing well then. Because I'm being honest with you right now, right? I'd rather have Kulusevski back, and I don't even rate him. What does that say to you?
You
know what I mean?
I don't know any player you rate. I don't know any. It's almost like you hate.
Well, there's a big bar that needs to be rated. You know what I mean? Because I know what good players are. Yeah, Kudos is one of them, but he's playing shit the last couple of games because he's been overused too much. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, he's one of them definitely. I definitely rate Van der Ven. Yeah, Van der Ven's been brilliant this season. Absolutely brilliant this season. And he's been brilliant the last couple of seasons as well. He's made me look a right
fool. I thought he was going to struggle this year.
Pardon?
I thought Van der Ven was going to struggle this year. I thought that when you play in a bit more defensive system and you've got players running at you, being a bit tricky, I feel like last year we utilised his best attributes by being a so high line, the ball going over his head and him sprinting onto it. I feel like when you've got players up and around him, I feel like I don't know whether he was nimble enough, and he's made me look like a right sausage because he's been brilliant.
I'll tell you what. Right now, and if you've been watching my channel, I've been saying this, and this is me being positive. So some of the people that are positive Tottenham fans, you should take note of this, by the way, and don't get used to it. Right? I said that he should be captain because that captaincy, you saw that guy was proper. He was a proper. I looked at him. I sat there and thought, yeah, that's a captain. You see him chatting to Vicario. You see him chatting to Vicario and everything else. Yeah, when he's captain. That's a captain.
Yeah, you should do that. You should do that with you got the armband or not. 100%. I think we need more leaders.
You see Danzo, even though he wasn't good last game. He wasn't good. Yeah, I attribute Van der Ven and Danzo as like Michael Dawson and Ledley King. It was just looking like that. Ledley King, Van der Ven, and Danzo, Dawson, Michael Dawson, all day long, every single day. Actually, I even say
like this. He's got an agenda against Romero, by the way. If anyone's watching, he's got an agenda against Romero.
Embarrassing.
Listen. Romero's
and
a good
Bergval and Frank and Tell and
no. But Luke. The difference is, I ain't said Frank out though. I've not said Frank out. You know what I mean? Unlike some people.
You might have done on your own channel though.
No, I haven't. I haven't. I might have said it on the thumbnail. But you have to get clickbait sometimes. You know what I mean? You know how to do clickbait sometimes. You know what I mean? You have to get somebody in the audience on the YouTube video. You know what I mean? You need to do something sometimes. You know what I mean? That's the magic of YouTube. Anyway, but moving on. But I've not said Frank out. I've not said Frank out though.
Guys.
You know what I mean? But no, seriously, like, listen, I'm not going to listen to these people that keep on saying I need time. Yeah, cool, right? I'm not sacking him, right? I'm not going to keep on saying, oh, he needs time. Listen, I'm not sacking him, right? Because I'm not going to be that silly. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the manager, who's going to take over? No, we don't know who. There's nobody out there at the moment, right? And I don't really fancy having Prodigy change the manager. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? You know, but at the moment, it's just the fact my eyes are not lying to me at the moment, right? Okay, maybe we had good moments against Copenhagen, cool, but and we did well to get through that game with 10 men. Yeah, great goal from Van der Ven, great goal from Paulinho. The transition, that was great. But the fact that everyone's talking about turning point, I mean, honestly, where are we going with this? You know what I mean?
But it can be,
could
right?
be.
Again,
Could be.
again, you look at the league, right? And we're above Chelsea, we're above United, we're above Villa, we're above Newcastle. All of them are decent teams who have had their manager for a period of time that have had good spells. Most of them have spent decent money. You look in the Champions League, we're above your Barcelonas, we're again above Chelsea, we're above Dortmund, Atlanta, Atletico Madrid, Leverkusen, who are terrible apparently, Frankfurt, like we're above all of these teams. So again, there has to be a hint of and this is where I think YouTube goes wrong, is that you can't say anything negative. So like, just because I said a negative thing about something doesn't mean that I think it's the end of the world. But what I'm trying to say is that it's what we've been through and what's happened this season. We've got good points from it, but that the performances are not deserving of them points yet. And if we then go on a run, say we go on a run now and we win the next 6-7 games in a row, then you go, cool, even when we play badly, we still pick up points. That's brilliant. But if we can't play like we have done the last 10 games in the next 10 games as well, because the points won't come. So,
exactly.
But it has to be some sort of balance. You're not going to play well every game. You're not going to beat every team you should beat. That's just the way life is. And at the moment, we are in a transition, unfortunately, because Frank's come in. And also, not just that, but we're also targeting different players. Like the Xavi Simons, the Kudoses. Like someone's, I can't remember who. I think it was in a group chat. Someone told me that we would have got Kudos and we'd have got Xavi Simons even if we didn't play in the Champions League. And I'm like, what are you not in any way, shape, or form are these players leaving clubs to go and not play in the Champions League? Like, it's madness. We're targeting different level of players. We're trying to do a different style and everything else. So I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is the performances need to improve. He's picked up good points. You can't criticize that.
Like the point is, right. So like there was I can't remember who it was who said it, that there is a likelihood that we won't be seeing the kind of football that Spurs fans really want, this whole free flowing football, because that could be that Frank does not play that way, right?
Yeah.
Him being a manager that, from what I have seen in the past at Brentford, right, played on transition, whether it's because Brentford was a smaller team in comparison to the others, or whether that's his tactics, I don't care. I'm okay with it, right? I don't have an issue with that. My issue comes in when I'm watching a game against Chelsea and then passing out from the back is an issue. Passing out of a press is an issue. Porro gets the ball. The first thing he does is lump it up. There is no cohesion. And then I'm being told, oh, you can't judge Frank. You can't say anything about the game because he hasn't got the players. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Then I'm being told, oh, it's because of the injuries and because we're playing every 3 days. Well, no one cared last year when we had like 14, 15 injuries and had to play for 3 months and had to play Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. No, let me finish. Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. No one cared. So when I'm watching this season, I'm like, yeah, that's completely fine. I'm okay if we lose certain games or if we don't play well in certain games, but I can't have a situation whereby whether Alex likes it or not, where I see zero intent in a game, I see 0.05 xg being put on in front of my screen, then I'm thinking, no. I can't have anybody tell me I can't judge Frank because he hasn't got the players. I can't have that. Excuse me, box office. Let me finish. Let me finish my point. Right? I can't have these people tell me that, because you then play a game like Copenhagen, play well, and then all these people that were saying we don't have the players automatically just disappear.
But Manny, with all that long speech, bruv, all you need to do is, right, all that long speech that you were just saying right now, all you need to say is you're being hypocrites. That's all you need to say.
Oh no, I've already said it. I've already said it.
I don't even know why you're
I've
going
already
all
said
that long speech, because the thing is, I'm saying the same thing that you've been saying for how on my channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're arguing. You love arguing me for absolutely no reason, because we
No,
say
I'm
the same
not.
thing
I'm not
nearly all the
arguing for
time.
no reason. I'm not arguing for no reason at all. I was just saying that you're making a long speech. You're doing this long speech, which I was sitting there thinking, bro, like we're all with you, bro, because like all you need to say to them is they're hypocrites. Because like I say, yeah, if they're saying about the injuries, that is just way long gone.
Mm.
That's way long gone to start talking about injuries when we've got a better squad. A better squad than we had with Ange. Let's be honest here. Yeah, Javi Simmons. Yeah, Javi Simmons and Kudos. Yeah, we had Brendan Johnson
100%.
bloody
I agree with
playing
that.
last. Come on now. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah, no,
Manny.
I completely-
You know what I mean? It's like these guys are making excuses. All you need to
I
say, they're
agree.
making excuses. You know what I mean? We're in agreement here, bro. You know what I mean? I was just sitting there thinking, bro. You know what I mean? It's like they've been lucky that Mr. Box Office has not been interested. That's how easy it is there for them right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to go in there. But the point, it's just for me, right? It's just trying to use the players better than what they have at the moment. The only thing that I do feel sorry for him a little bit is the defender part. Maybe that's the only thing. Yeah, because we do need to play a three. That's it. Simple. You know what I mean? Play a three and play wing backs. Right?
I think we left him short in the fullback areas, didn't we? He's got three. I've been saying this all summer, all since the season started. I expect a fullback to come off that pitch every game, because we've got three of them. That's it. We've got no one else. Archie Gray's not a fullback. Davies is not a fullback. So that's why I've been saying at 60 minutes, I'm expecting at least one of Udogi or Porro or whoever starts to come off, and then the other one come on.
I would have played Archie Gray maybe at right centre back. I would have tried that.
Well, I said that I thought it'd have featured a couple of weeks back, but Dragason's hopefully in his way back soon, so I'm not sure.
Frank is refusing to go through at the back anywhere at the moment.
Yeah,
he's flat out refusing, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because he wants to, impress the system in, but he's not. The last time he played the three at the back was when PSG in the Super Cup.
Yeah, he's gone to it for like 10 minutes or whatever, hasn't he? But yeah, he's not played it as consistently. Talking about three at the back, we've obviously got United coming up. I know that Chris and Manny both need to shoot off in a minute, so we're just going to quickly have a quick round up on United. Seem to come into a bit of form recently. They seem to have turned a corner, as someone mentioned earlier. And Buemo looking a little bit like his old self. He seemed to be struggling at the start. Chris, what are your thoughts, and give a prediction for the Man United game on the weekend?
Yeah, as you said, tough game. I think they are looking like they're sort of not back to their old ways, but they are sort of coming back into being a team that when you do play them now, you don't sort of go, we're definitely going to beat. We could turn these over now. You sort of do think, what we're going to get here. I think again we've had a positive home game Tuesday night. Hopefully the fans turn up again on Saturday, as they always do, in full voice, and give us a good atmosphere and give the boys something to really go for. And I just hope that the players actually give back to the fans the performance that we want to see, and for themselves as well. They obviously want to go out and play every game as best as they can. So hopefully they can give a good performance. Prediction, I would probably say I'm going to go with 2-2. I feel like it's going to be a tough game, and I feel like United will probably score first, and then we'll come back into it. We'll score, and it will go either way. So yeah, 2-2 for me. I'm going to predict
2-2. Manny, thoughts and predictions on United, mate?
Well, it's a difficult one, right? So Chris is right with the points that he's made about the resurgence of United, and they've got two really good tens in Mbuemo and Cunha, who individually, could literally take a game away from you. And then the other person I'm really, obviously the Bruno Fernandes is a given, and Ahmad on that right wing back, big issues, right? But my thing is, this is where I'm looking at Frank, right? This is where I'm looking at every single person who said he's adaptable, he's a master tactician, he's able to his in-game management. This is why I'm looking at him, and the reason why I'm looking at him is because he is coming up against one of the most rigid managers in the league, in Amorim. His patterns of play are the same every single game, and he refuses to change. So this is where I think it could be right down Frank's alley, whereby tactically he wins us that game. So I'm going to say 2-1. And I'm just hoping that he does what he's supposed to do, because listen, although we've been playing badly and we've been quite boring to watch in majority of our games, we can't take away the fact that we are what is it fifth or sixth at the moment?
Sixth, I think we are.
I thought it was fifth, but yeah, we're there. Thereabouts.
10 games in, it's not a bad place to be. So if we are able to go out into the international break with a win, that would really solidify us going into this bad run of games that we have with Arsenal. So I'll say 2-1. I'll still back my boys. I'll still back Thomas Frank, the engine choo-choo.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you've just said that Frank might win it tactically, but yet you're Frank out. So how does that make any sense? Because
I'm not Frank out.
You have to be. You can't.
Exactly.
I was going to start having a go at him.
You can't.
I was going to start having a go at him if he's Frank out. So I was saying you're a hypocrite.
Exactly. That's a good point. Yeah, you criticize anything Frank does, then you're Frank out. Yeah, that's
there you go. Yeah, so we were fifth up until Sunderland got the draw on Monday, which took us down to sixth. So box office will let you sign off, my man. Thoughts on United predictions?
A draw, 1-1, and yeah, that's all I will say on that one. Just on Chris's point, don't need to be worried, Chris. I'm not going to have a go at you, but on Chris's point on the fans,
yes.
I'm a nice man at heart, bub, but you know what I mean, it's not nothing personal, it's just only football. But the point is though, right, you talk about the fans turning up, they're not having Frank at the moment, mate. They're not having him. Trust me. Right?
I don't think it's Frank they're not having. I think it's the performances.
I don't think they're having Frank either, to be honest with you. Because I'll tell you why, right? I'm getting tickets on the day of the game. And this is a Champions League team.
Yeah, but some of it is to do with the pricing and things like that as well. I definitely think that's a part of it.
But I think a big thing is as well, I mean, the games that we've played at home, we've not been good at home. So it doesn't surprise me that people don't. I think if our home form picked up, I think you'd maybe see a change, but you're not going to be enjoying watching it if you're not playing well at home.
Yeah,
and we're the only club in the world that can literally in Europe we can't lose at home, and the only club in the whole world who can't win a single game in the league at home. Like Spurs are just mental as a club.
Listen, the stats are very confusing. That's why I just look on what I see on my eyes at the moment, really, because then I can make my own judgment. but
We had
it's
low
just-
XG. We had really low XG against Chelsea.
I don't care. I really couldn't care less.
Alex doesn't do XG. He wants us
because
to
the
go
thing is,
back to
it's a
the
lazy
back rule.
stat. It's a lazy stat, and like I said, you could see it with your eyes how bad we were. You don't need XG. XG's used so badly. You know what I mean? I know this because I knew somebody who's not on YouTube now. There was a stat guy, a complete stat guy, and he told me no one's using it right at all. It's absolute nonsense the way that people use it, right? And you just need to look at yourself. XG doesn't say how bad a team is, right? It's useless stat. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a draw. And yeah, I think for me, Frank needs to prove himself. And unfortunately, and the last thing I'll say, because I know people need to go to sleep because they've got early starts in the morning, right? Moani, right? I'm fed up of hearing that we need time with Moani. I'm fed up of hearing it. He's on loan. We ain't got time. Time's ticking. Time's ticking. Yeah. So when I keep on hearing time, oh, Moani needs time. He's not fit. Well, if he wasn't fit, don't bloody get him in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's on the club,
Did he
right?
not pick
That's
up an injury though? I think he
yeah,
got
yeah,
him,
Chris.
he picked up
Chris,
an
this
injury.
man has
The
not
longest
missed
deadline.
a league game.
Oh,
He's
there we
not
go.
missed. Sorry, he's not missed a game through injury, or he's missed one in about
Science for us
7
and-
years, and then he's missed 2 in 2 weeks. Same with Solanke. Solanke played
Yeah.
38 Premier League games the year before we signed him. We signed him. He missed the second game. This is but Ange is playing. Is playing
And just
these
training
bloody
sessions.
injuries.
But it's the problem is that the thing I'm saying though, Chris. Yeah, it's cool that we're trying. If you're going to try and give it time. But the problem is, don't get him in them because we ain't got time with him. Because like we're not going to have him for next season. He needs to go in and say he needs to make an impact now.
I totally get that, but I think when you sign someone and you have all the expectations, we signed him quite late as well. It was quite a last minute. He's not going to be signed and then come straight into the team. I'm not saying when I say give him time, you're probably not just digging me out because I said it. I imagine you might be slightly, but it doesn't matter.
No, I wasn't digging.
No, it's fine. When I personally say he needs time, I think he needs 2 or 3 games where he's starting and he's getting that. You can be the best player, but if you've not got playing games is so critical to how sharp you are and how alert you are and how prepared you are for that game.
I'm jumping off, yeah. Sorry.
That's fine, mate.
Thanks for having
Cheers,
me.
mate. Thank you very much for coming on, man.
So for me, when I say give him time, I just mean he needs 2 or 3 starts where he's getting 70 to 90 minutes. If he can play the full game, then brilliant. If he's fit enough to do that, but to give him that time, he needs game time to get your sharpness up, to get your match fitness up, to get that up. I don't mean give him time and he'll start scoring. I just mean he clearly isn't where he can't play a game and he won't be at his complete best. He'll have a game where he's not.
I think it's not his fault that he's not up to speed. It's the club's fault because the club shouldn't. And Alex, this is where I think you're bang on. Is that if he's not going to come in and make an immediate impact, then why sign him? A bit different with him because obviously you've got the season, but specifically with Tell, you're bringing him in. He played very little football for 6 months. He needed to get up to speed, but we only had him for obviously they extended that deal, but we was only having him for 6 months. If you're bringing in loan signings, they need to be immediate. They need to be Palhinha. Yeah. They need to come in and be playing immediately, starting and be better than what you've got.
Look at Palhinha is on loan, and look how the impact he's had.
Yeah,
look at the impact he's had. That's the sort of impact
he was ready. He was ready made from the Premier League before. He was signed early enough so that he could get fit. Obviously, Moani, it seems that's probably come a little bit more because of the Solanke issue and everything else. But I completely agree, Box Office. This is what I was saying last year, that when we get rid of the manager that everyone wants rid of, they think all of the solutions are there. They're not, because that's not the way the club operates. We just don't operate like that.
I mean,
we operate on chances and.
I hear what you're saying, and this is where I hear what Chris is saying. I don't agree with it. I hear what Chris is saying. It's just at the moment, like I said, for me, impact, and I hear about the other manager, but I kind of want to keep out the other managers sting for me.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Because
Yeah.
I think people just throw their support for Frank because of the other manager, and I think that's where I'm just like I'm done with that now.
He's gone.
Like,
Yeah.
but it's just for me, just like if you're on loan and you come in and he knew what he was getting himself into in the first place. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, he had to hit the ground running.
Michael
Having
brings
these
up a
little
good point as well, that he didn't want to come. He was going to Juventus, wasn't he? And then they couldn't afford him, so he came last minute. But again, that's not him it's his fault, but he didn't want to come, and then Spurs still end up going to sign him. So
no one's arguing he's not got the quality because
I agree.
We just need to see it
takedown,
now,
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than you can't wait. You can't wait till January to then see the quality. We need his quality,
especially when your other strikers are not delivering. Like if Solanke had been playing, or Richarlison had been playing and got 5 or 6 goals.
We don't even talk about Richarlison because Richarlison, he's used to he's you know what I mean? Just like
it actually pissed me off that Scarlett never took that penalty. Like,
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
infuriates me. You should give why is he? I don't understand. Even if he scores it, I'm still like, if Scarlett wins it and he does win it, give him take your penalty. Here's your chance. Go and do it.
And Maddison done the same thing for Richarlison last year, roughly around the same time. Gave him a goal because he was struggling. Forbes. I believe that Forbes that played for Bruges used to play for Ajax. He was quite highly rated at one stage and kind of fell off a little bit. But rebuilding, Club Brugge are a really great team to watch. They done well yesterday. Guys, that is it for us right now. We are going to sign off now. First one in a while. I wasn't expecting to go for an hour. We are gonna transfer you straight over to Deji. Deji's live at the moment. I think he's doing score predictions for the game at this moment in time. So go over there, drop a little spotlight on Spurs raid. Really appreciate it. Big love for Deji. Deji's been on the channel. Get him on again soon, hopefully. Alex, thanks for the last minute call up. He got the Scarlet. He actually got the Scarlet sub on, and he came in. He made an impact, a bit like Scarlet. Got the penalty, beat his man. And then we'll go from there. But thanks for coming on. Big shout out to Manny as well. Chris, Alex, thank you very much. Hope you're on again soon. And last thing, as always, come on, you Spurs. See you later, guys.